Hey, what's happening? Happy Thursday to everybody. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early, man. You know it's 3:30 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, stick with me here. I'm gonna talk about a few different things here this morning. I came across some comments. That's gonna be the last thing I'm gonna talk about. Why I have no respect for MAGA people, Donald Trump supporters, the far right. I mean, zero respect. I'm going to get to that at the end of the video. I want to show you guys some comments I came across, and they're just unbelievable. All right, I'm going to start off with Scott Adams here, the creator of the Dilbert cartoon. I talked about him about a video or two back, all right? And in that video, I used empathy, because Scott Adams says that he identified as black, right? And so I briefly, you'll see this on in my video. I thought, well, what if somebody said they identified as Native American, because I'm part Native American? How would I feel? And it would tick me off, man. You think it's a joke? Do you think my race is a joke? It's something funny? You think it was a cakewalk? And then in that video, I tried to use Irish people. It's like, well, what if I said I was identifying as Irish? And I didn't get anywhere with that example. But then I thought of something. I was like, well, what if I said, and I'm doing this out of empathy to try to explain how I feel. If somebody said, I identify as Native American and they weren't Native American. What if I said, well, I've been put on a few pounds. I think I'm going to use the Irish potato famine diet. Got to lose a few pounds. Would you think that, if you're an Irish person, your family lived in Ireland during the Irish potato famine, you lost people. Would you think that was kind of funny? I don't know. Maybe some people wouldn't be bothered by it. I'm using that as an example, though. Why I found Scott Adams extremely offensive, man. And this isn't about censorship. When I see these videos by Scott Adams. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see his product. I don't want to see Dilbert anywhere. If I pick up a newspaper and I see Dilbert in there, I'm going to think right away. I'm going to think this newspaper agrees with what Scott Adams, he doesn't have a problem with Scott Adams, so I'm going to stop picking up that newspaper. That's one less reader. And there's a lot of people out there that are going to feel the same way. This isn't about being woke. This isn't about cancel culture. This isn't about censorship. This is about the majority of the population of the United States being offended and just, opting out of your product. If that's what you want to put, if that's what you want to portray along with your product, your newspaper or whatever, then I don't want to buy it. It offends me, man. I don't want to see it. And I hopefully through that empathy, if you're Irish or Native American or black, you understand what I'm saying. It's offensive, man. As soon as I see Dilbert now, I'm going to think of the dill hole that made this cartoon. And it offended me, man. I won't read the newspaper. I'll put it down. That's one less reader, and there's a lot of other people. That's not censorship. That's not woke. That's not, and I would think the far right would understand this because they're the ones that are always coming out with these, what's it called when you don't buy stuff? I forgot what the word was. All right, anyway. Okay, so I came across an article on the app Flipboard. I use this app a lot. Now, just in a little while in this video, you'll see I'm going to show you the actual app. So I'll talk more about that in a second. And the app, this is where I get my stories from. And there was a story about Jamie Raskin explaining to Congress a meeting on social media and censorship. And Jamie Raskin was explaining very simply the Constitution of the United States and the First Amendment, that freedom of speech does not apply. It only applies to government. And he explained this very well. Okay, and I looked at the comments in this Flipboard. I'm going to show you guys in a second some of the exact comments I showed you. And this is why I have no respect for MAGA people. I honestly don't see liberals or progressives being this crude with name calling and saying just stuff like Scott Adams, that he identifies as a black person, or some of the stuff I'm going to talk about this Jamie Raskin. Okay, so Jamie Raskin has cancer and he's wearing a bandana. In this, there'll be a link down below. He has diffuse large cell B lymphoma. Okay, and he's got a good prognosis, and he's going through chemotherapy, and he's wearing a bandana. And this takes me back to when my father, I had, and I talk about this not because I want sympathy, but because I'm trying to use empathy here so people would understand how their words affect other people. And when I was 9 years old, my father had terminal brain cancer. And I watched him wither away in the bed. And I saw him not only just lose his hair, but there was scars on the back of his head where they cut in. And I remember seeing marks, like crayon marks or markers from the radiology or whatever, and this, when I walked in the room, it got to the point where he didn't even know. I was standing in front of him, his 9-year-old son, and he didn't know who I was. At this point, honestly, I prayed for his death. At 9 years old, they used to send me out of the room when he would go into convulsions, when he would have seizures. It wasn't a good time in my life. And he used to wear a New York Yankees cap. He liked the New York Yankees, and it was his headgear of choice already. But he wore it all the time to cover up, because you lose all the hair on your body. The chemotherapy kills the follicles or something. I'm not a doctor, but it's a harsh thing to deal with, especially for women or whatever. And he wore this cap to cover the scars and the loss of hair and the crayon marks and everything else. And then I see these comments from right wingers on this app. I'm going to show you guys in a second. And, I don't know. I find it hard to believe that anybody becomes an adult and they don't see a picture of somebody like Jamie Raskin wearing a bandana and they don't know that this person has cancer. I find it hard to believe that somebody could lead such a sheltered, ignorant life where they don't know this, because it appears either these people are trying to be cute and pretending they don't know so they could say what they think is funny stuff. This is the difference between what I see between the left and the right. I just don't see people on the left. Once in a while you might see, somebody that has lost their way. But on the right, you see this way too often, where you're making fun of the way somebody looks, the way somebody talks, the way their name sounds, the disease they have. And they think this is funny. They think this is humorous. It's just a joke. Lighten up. Don't censor me. Don't woke culture. And I'm saying this so maybe you guys, if there's any right wingers out there watching this, if you have cancer in your family, you'll realize, sometimes try to think before you say something, man. Because it's not just about offending somebody, it's about hurting. It's about hurting somebody's memories, really. So yeah, in this app, in the comments, I'm going to show you guys in a second now. There's a couple. I didn't include all the comments because some of them were just too over the top, and I blacked out their last names. So I'm going to show you right now what I'm talking about. So here you go. Okay, I want to show you a few of the comments that I found on Flipboard. First of all, here's Jamie Raskin, and there's the bandana. I'm going to show you guys a few comments made by. This is why I have no respect. Zero respect for Trump supporters and MAGA people, the far right. I don't understand how anybody could get over the age of 10 or 11 and not see this picture and realize, oh, this man is sick. This man has cancer. He has chemotherapy. I don't have children, so I don't know what age they learn this stuff. But I would think by the time you're an adult, you would see this picture and you would automatically realize that this guy has cancer, that he's not just trying to, wear a do-rag and look cool. It's either A, they're being ignorant, rude, and stupid, or they're, I don't know, ignorant or just an idiot. Okay, so now here, this is the app, Flipboard. If you look down below here, Artist in Recovery, there's my comment right at the bottom. I talk about the YouTube channel here. So this is the app on the Samsung apps. Okay, now here is the actual article on Flipboard. If you look down at the bottom, you see the comments. Right now there's 21 comments here, and these are the ones I'm going to show you. Now the first one here, I covered up the last names. Now these people, if they want to put their whole name out there on a public app that has hundreds of thousands of people using it on the internet. You know, it's that's their choice. But I decided, just out of the kindness of my heart, to black out their names, because I would like to think that they'd have some shame after I point out their I hate to use the word stupidity, but okay, this first guy, I don't think he even I realized that some people just blurt out their comments and they don't actually watch the video. Believe me, I've learned that. You know, and nothing makes you look stupider. And here we have a typical, because in this article, Jamie Raskin very basically explains the First Amendment and how it applies to just the government, and how social media is private business. You know, and if the government was starting to tell private business how they can operate their businesses, that would be the first things conservatives would scream about. I urge you to read the article. Jamie Raskin talks about Fox News, and he uses them as an example to try to, I think it's a form of empathy. Jamie Raskin here is trying to explain to some people on this isn't censorship. This is just about private business saying what they want and what they don't want in their business with their advertisers, what's good for profit. Okay, so this guy didn't even read the article at all, because he starts off with, wow, libtard forgers, the lies. And he goes on to talk about China and Afghanistan, and he just rants basically. And of course, he gets to Sleepy Joe and Hunter Biden. A lot of people commented on this. This guy, I don't think he even read the article. Now let's get to the comments about that. It really got my adrenaline going, really bothered me this morning. The Great America Conspiracy. I didn't cover this up because it's not an actual personal name. So let this person be known, this group or person be known who they are. The side effect of cancer is that it makes you wear a colorful bandana to bring attention to the fact that you are going through cancer treatment. So he's saying that Jamie, first of all, this isn't a colorful bandana. If anything, it's a bland bandana. You know, a colorful. Do I really need to explain that? You know, this isn't a colorful bandana. And he's saying Jamie Raskin is just looking for attention. You know, and this takes me back to my father wearing that New York Yankees cap to cover up the scars on his head where they cut into his head and his loss of hair. And, you know, was he doing that because he was a big New York? Yeah, well, I mean, that was the hat that was laying around because he was a New York Yankees fan. But it wasn't about being a New York Yankees fan. He was wearing that all the time because of the cancer treatments, because of the scars in his head where they cut out the tumor. You know, so yeah, this comment, not too funny. Not it's saying that people like my father were just want attention. You know, as I watched him wither away in front of my eyes, to the point where he didn't even recognize my name. He didn't even recognize who I was. A 9-year-old boy, his son standing in front of him, and he didn't even recognize who he was. At that point, I prayed for his death. So yeah, this comment, not too funny. All right, now here's Katie. This is intelligent. What's up with the scarf on his head? He looks like a pirate. Maybe he burned his head. I really have to wonder if this person is an elementary school person. Maybe it is an elementary school kid. Maybe he burned his head. Mr. Raskins needs to look more like a professional as a congressman. This is the kind of stuff I'm talking about here, man. This is why I have to believe in my heart that people like Katie and the one before this, they know darn well that, you know, this isn't about attention or about being a pirate. These people have cancer, and they lose their eyebrows. The cancer basically kills all the hair follicles. I'm not a doctor, but it kills all the hair follicles. It kills everything in the body. And you lose all your hair. And, you know, on top of dealing with the pain, it's a lot to deal with. You know, like I said, my father used to wear the New York Yankees cap to cover the scars and the marks on his head, where radiology left marks where they were going to aim the x-ray. I don't know. But these are the nightmares that I have in my head of seeing my father wither away in a hospital bed. And again, I'm not saying this because I want sympathy. I'm trying to reach out with some empathy here. You know, before you say something stupid like this, you know, think about what you're saying, man. You know, if you haven't had cancer in your family, you're lucky, you know, but not funny, man. It's not funny. And if you really don't know, if you don't know why somebody's wearing why a 60-something or 70-something-year-old man is wearing a bandana, then our education system in this country is worse than I thought. You guys have a good Thursday.